Anger. It's one of those emotions that sneaks up on you, like a storm you didn't see coming. One minute everything feels manageable, and the next your heart is racing, your hands are clenched, and words you didn't plan to say are spilling out. We've all been there, moments when anger feels overwhelming, almost like it has a life of its own. It can fracture relationships, cloud your judgment, and leave you with a lingering sense of regret. But what if I told you that this powerful emotion, as intense and destructive as it can seem, holds the potential to be something entirely different? What if it could become a tool, not for chaos, but for growth and clarity? This is where the timeless wisdom of Stoicism comes in, offering a perspective that feels almost revolutionary in today's fast-paced, reaction-driven world. Stoicism doesn't tell you to suppress your anger or pretend it doesn't exist. Instead, it teaches you to understand it, to sit with it, and ultimately to transform it into a force that can serve you rather than control you. Imagine for a moment being able to pause in the middle of that angry surge and choose a different path, not one that leaves destruction in its wake, but one that builds understanding and resilience. Let's start by acknowledging that anger isn't inherently bad. It's a natural human response, a signal that something in your environment feels off, unjust, or threatening. The problem isn't the anger itself, it's how we react to it. Those unguarded moments when anger takes the wheel are often where the damage happens. Words spoken in haste, actions driven by impulse. These are the things that leave scars, not just on others, but on yourself. Think back to the last time you felt truly angry. Maybe it was a fight with a loved one or a moment of frustration at work. What was it that set you off? And more importantly, how did you respond? Were you able to step back, or did the moment take over, leaving you feeling out of control? This is where Stoicism offers a lifeline, teaching us that while we can't always control the situations that spark our anger, we can control what happens next. At the heart of Stoicism is a simple but profound idea. What happens to us is far less important than how we respond to it. External events, whether it's a rude comment, a traffic jam, or even a major life setback, are often beyond our control. But our reactions, those are ours to shape. This doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It means recognizing the moment when your emotions start to bubble over and making a conscious choice about how to handle it. Picture this. You're in the middle of a heated argument and you can feel your anger rising. Your body starts giving you signals. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, and your muscles tense. These aren't just physical reactions. They're invitations to pause. Stoicism teaches us to notice these moments, to use them as cues to step back and assess the situation. Why am I angry? Is this really about the current situation, or is there something deeper going on? What outcome am I hoping for, and is my reaction helping me get there? This pause doesn't have to be long. Sometimes, just taking a deep breath or counting to 5 can be enough to shift your perspective. And in that brief moment, you regain a sense of control, not over the situation, but over yourself. You're no longer reacting on autopilot. You're choosing your next move with intention. One of the most powerful tools Stoicism offers for managing anger is the concept of reframing. When something triggers you, instead of immediately labeling it as bad or wrong, try to see it through a different lens. Take the classic example of getting cut off in traffic. Your first instinct might be to get angry. Maybe you honk your horn or mutter under your breath. But what if instead you paused and asked yourself, why am I letting this bother me? Is this moment worth my peace of mind? Maybe the other driver made a mistake, or is rushing for reasons you'll never know. By reframing the situation, you take back the power you gave to it. This isn't about denying your feelings. It's about shifting your focus to what you can control. You can't change the other driver's actions, but you can choose not to let them ruin your day. And that choice, it's liberating. Another key idea in Stoicism is the distinction between indicators and dictators. Anger, like all emotions, is an indicator. It's there to tell you something. Maybe you feel disrespected, unheard, or hurt. But just because anger shows up doesn't mean it should dictate your behavior. Emotions are valuable guides, but they're not infallible rulers. When you learn to separate the signal from the reaction, you give yourself the freedom to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. This approach to anger isn't about perfection. You're going to slip up. There will be moments when the emotion gets the better of you, but each time you practice, each time you pause, reflect and choose a different response, you get a little better at it. Over time, these small moments of self-mastery add up, transforming the way you experience and express anger. Imagine how different your relationships could feel if anger became less about conflict and more about communication. How many arguments could be avoided or resolved more peacefully if you took the time to understand your emotions before acting on them? How many opportunities for connection and growth could replace the misunderstandings that anger so often creates? Stoicism isn't just a philosophy for enduring life's challenges. It's a blueprint for thriving through them. It's about finding strength in moments of weakness, clarity in moments of chaos, and peace in moments of turmoil. And when it comes to anger, it teaches us that the greatest power isn't in suppressing the emotion, but in transforming it. Every time you face anger, you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to reactive behavior, to words and actions you might later regret. The other leads to reflection, growth, and intentionality. It's not the easier path, but it's the one that aligns with your values and helps you become the person you want to be. The next time anger starts to rise, try to see it not as an enemy, but as an opportunity, a chance to practice patience, courage, and wisdom. It's not about eliminating anger entirely. It's about learning to navigate it with grace. And in doing so, you not only transform your relationship with anger, but also strengthen your connection to yourself and those around you. Anger is often misunderstood. It's easy to see it as something entirely negative, a force that drives us toward conflict and regret. But what if, instead, we started to view anger as a teacher, a signal pointing us towards something deeper? When you look at it through the lens of Stoicism, anger isn't just an outburst of emotion. It's an opportunity to learn about yourself, your values, and your reactions. It's a call to action, not in the sense of lashing out, but in understanding and mastering your inner world. Imagine a time when anger caught you off guard, that heat rising in your chest, the quickening of your heartbeat, the urge to say something you'd regret. Maybe it was a disagreement with a friend or family member, or frustration with a situation you couldn't control. In those moments, anger can feel like it's taking over, pulling the strings while you stand by, helpless. But the Stoics believed that this wasn't the full story. Anger isn't an unstoppable force. It's a challenge, a test of how well you can respond rather than react. One of the central ideas in Stoicism is this: it's not the event itself that causes your anger, but your judgment of the event. This means that the power to change your emotional response lies within you. Consider this: someone criticizes you at work, and your immediate reaction is frustration or hurt. But why? Is it the criticism itself that bothers you, or the meaning you attach to it? Perhaps you feel it's unfair, or that it reflects poorly on your abilities. The Stoics would encourage you to pause and ask, is this judgment accurate? Is this criticism truly an attack, or could it be a chance to improve? This ability to question your judgments is like a superpower. It allows you to step back from the heat of the moment and see the situation from a broader perspective. Instead of letting your emotions drive you, you become the driver, steering your response with intention. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means understanding them and choosing how to act on them. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of pausing before reacting. In his meditations, he emphasized the value of separating your initial emotional reaction from your deliberate actions. It's in this pause, this brief moment of reflection, that you reclaim your power. You're no longer at the mercy of your anger. You're in control. But let's be honest, pausing in the middle of anger isn't easy. When emotions are running high, the last thing you want to do is stop and think. That's why Stoicism encourages preparation. By reflecting on your values and practicing mindfulness daily, you're better equipped to handle those intense moments when they arise. It's like training a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. One powerful Stoic practice is called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves mentally preparing yourself for the challenges and frustrations you might face in the day ahead. For example, you might remind yourself that people may act rudely, plans may fall apart, or unexpected obstacles may arise. By anticipating these possibilities, you're less likely to be caught off guard. Instead of reacting with anger, you can respond with patience and grace. Imagine starting your day with this mindset. You acknowledge that not everything will go as planned, that people are imperfect, and that life is unpredictable. This isn't pessimism, it's realism. And when those inevitable frustrations appear, you're ready for them. You've already decided how you want to respond. Reframing is another essential Stoic tool for managing anger. When you feel slighted or upset, try to see the situation from a different angle. Maybe the person who cut you off in traffic is rushing to an emergency. Maybe the colleague who snapped at you is dealing with stress you can't see. This isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of assuming the worst. When you choose to see things differently, you take back control over how they affect you. This doesn't mean you'll never feel anger. Even the Stoics acknowledged that emotions are natural and unavoidable. But what they emphasized is that emotions are not dictators. They're signals, indicators of how you're interpreting the world around you. And while you can't always choose how you feel, you can always choose how you respond. The next time anger arises, try this. Pause, breathe, and observe. Notice how your body feels, the tension in your shoulders, the quickness of your breath. These are clues, your body's way of saying, pay attention. Instead of acting on impulse, ask yourself, what triggered this? Is my reaction helpful? Am I focusing on what's within my control? By shifting your focus to what you can control, you reduce the sense of helplessness that often fuels anger. You can't control the behavior of others, the traffic on the road, or the past mistakes that haunt you. But you can control your mindset, your actions, and the way you choose to interpret the events in your life. And that's where true freedom lies. Anger, when understood and managed, can even become a source of strength. It can motivate you to address injustices, to stand up for what's right, to push yourself toward growth. But this only happens when anger is tempered by reason, guided by values, and expressed in a way that aligns with who you want to be. Unchecked anger destroys, controlled anger builds. Think about how this shift could transform your relationships. Instead of escalating conflicts, you approach them with calm and clarity. Instead of letting anger create distance, you use it as an opportunity to deepen understanding. This doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. It means having them with intention, focusing on resolution rather than retribution. The journey toward mastering anger isn't a straight line. There will be setbacks, moments when emotions get the better of you. But every time you pause, reflect, and choose a measured response, you're building a foundation of resilience and self-awareness. And over time, those moments of mastery become more frequent, more natural. Stoicism offers more than just techniques for managing anger. It offers a way of seeing the world that prioritizes inner peace over external chaos. It reminds us that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can always control how we choose to respond. And in that choice lies the power to transform not just our emotions, but our entire lives. Anger, like any powerful force, has the potential to destroy or transform. It all depends on how we choose to harness it. As we've explored, Stoicism offers us a roadmap to understanding this intense emotion, not as something to be feared or suppressed, but as an opportunity for growth, reflection, and mastery. In this final part of our journey, we'll delve even deeper into how Stoicism transforms not only our relationship with anger, but with life itself. Imagine for a moment the immense power of taking full ownership of your emotions. No more blaming others for your outbursts. No more feeling like anger has a life of its own. Instead, you recognize it for what it is: a signal, an invitation to reflect, and a chance to act in alignment with your values. This is where the true power of Stoicism lies. It's not about avoiding anger, but transforming it into something constructive. Let's take a closer look at how we can apply these principles in everyday life. Picture yourself in a tense situation, maybe at work, where a colleague has unfairly criticized your efforts. The sting of injustice sparks that familiar surge of anger, and your first instinct might be to defend yourself, maybe even lash out. But in that moment, a stoic pause can change everything. Instead of reacting immediately, you pause, you breathe, you reflect. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, would remind himself in moments like these: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So you ask yourself, is this criticism within my control? Can I change how they feel or what they've said? Likely not. But what you can control is your response. You can choose to respond with calm, to seek clarification rather than conflict, and to use the moment as an opportunity for growth rather than letting it devolve into hostility. This isn't about suppressing how you feel or pretending the situation doesn't bother you. It's about channeling that emotion into something productive. Maybe you take the criticism as an opportunity to improve. Or maybe you recognize that it says more about your colleague than it does about your work. Either way, you've reclaimed your power. The anger no longer controls you. You control it. Another transformative Stoic practice is the concept of sympathia, or seeing ourselves as part of a greater whole. Often anger arises because we feel isolated or disconnected, as though the world is working against us. But when you take a step back and consider the interconnectedness of life, your perspective begins to shift. The person who wronged you isn't just a source of frustration. They're another human being, flawed and complex, navigating their own challenges. This perspective doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it allows you to approach the situation with empathy rather than hostility. Think about how many conflicts could be resolved or even avoided if we approached them with this mindset. Instead of viewing the other person as an adversary, you see them as a fellow traveler, someone who, like you, is trying to navigate the complexities of life. This doesn't mean you tolerate mistreatment or abandon your boundaries. It means you choose to respond with understanding and composure rather than letting anger dictate your actions. This shift in perspective isn't just about resolving conflicts with others. It's about finding peace within yourself. Anger often leaves us feeling unsettled, as though we're carrying a weight that doesn't belong to us. By reframing the situation and choosing a response aligned with your values, you let go of that weight. You free yourself from the burden of resentment and replace it with a sense of clarity and purpose. One of the most empowering lessons from Stoicism is the practice of turning obstacles into opportunities. The Stoics didn't see challenges as setbacks, they saw them as chances to practice virtue. Anger, for all its intensity, is no exception. Each moment of frustration, each spark of anger, is an opportunity to practice patience, courage, and wisdom. It's a chance to strengthen your character and deepen your understanding of yourself. Consider how this perspective could transform your daily life. The co-worker who frustrates you becomes a teacher, challenging you to practice patience. The traffic jam that tests your nerves becomes a reminder to let go of what you can't control. The heated argument with a loved one becomes an opportunity to communicate more effectively and to reconnect with compassion. Every moment, no matter how difficult, holds the potential for growth. And then there's the concept of impermanence, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Anger, like all emotions, is fleeting. It feels all-encompassing in the moment, but it always passes. Reminding yourself of this simple truth can be incredibly liberating. When anger arises, you can say to yourself, "This too shall pass." By acknowledging its temporary nature, you loosen its grip on you. You gain the space to observe it without becoming consumed by it. This practice of observing rather than reacting creates a profound sense of freedom. You're no longer a slave to your emotions, swept away by every surge of anger or frustration. Instead, you become a steady presence, grounded in your values and guided by reason. This isn't about detachment or indifference, it's about engaging with life fully, but with a calm and centered mind. As you continue to cultivate this Stoic mindset, you'll notice its impact rippling outward. Your relationships improve as you approach conflicts with empathy and understanding. Your sense of inner peace deepens as you let go of unnecessary anger and focus on what truly matters. And perhaps most importantly, you become a source of inspiration for others. By embodying these principles, you show those around you what's possible. A life not free of anger, but free of its destructive power. This is the essence of Stoicism. It's not about denying your humanity or striving for perfection. It's about embracing the full range of human experience, anger included, and choosing to respond in a way that reflects your highest values. It's about finding strength in moments of weakness, clarity in moments of chaos, and peace in moments of turmoil. The journey toward mastering anger and mastering yourself is not an easy one, but every step you take brings you closer to a life of greater freedom, resilience, and fulfillment. Each time you pause before reacting, each time you reframe a situation, each time you choose empathy over hostility, you're transforming not just your relationship with anger, but your relationship with the world. So, the next time anger rises, welcome it as a teacher. Let it guide you toward greater understanding and growth. And remember, you hold the power to choose your response. In that choice lies your strength, your freedom, and your peace. This is the path of Stoicism, a path not just to managing anger, but to mastering the art of living. This is the essence of Stoicism. It's not about denying your humanity or striving for perfection. It's about embracing the full range of human experience, anger included, and choosing to respond in a way that reflects your highest values. It's about finding strength in moments of weakness, clarity in moments of chaos, and peace in moments of turmoil. The journey toward mastering anger and mastering yourself is not an easy one, but every step you take brings you closer to a life of greater freedom, resilience, and fulfillment. Each time you pause before reacting, each time you reframe a situation, Each time you choose empathy over hostility, you're transforming not just your relationship with anger, but your relationship with the world. So, the next time anger rises, welcome it as a teacher. Let it guide you toward greater understanding and growth. And remember, you hold the power to choose your response. In that choice lies your strength, your freedom, and your peace. This is the path of Stoicism, a path not just to managing anger, but to mastering the art of living.